Jamie, can you hear that?
Talking about that bird noise?
Yeah.
Nature
Nature.
versus nurture?
Oh, nature.
Just nature?
Maybe some cars in the background, but the birds. Because we're doing this outside. What is it? The upper 70s.
Yeah, temperature right now. Well, right now it's about 72. But
About 72. Sun's still out. Beautiful day. We are Shade Tree Chefs.
Boom.
Excellent.
Nice.
So, really, to me, today really seems maybe like that first real day. Like maybe we have turned that leaf into summer.
Unofficial start of summer.
Unofficial, but either way, it's just it's been beautiful out. Yesterday wasn't bad either,
Right.
but today, get up. I was up early because of the dogs.
Well, I saw the forecast yesterday, high of upper 70s, I think 79 or something like that. I'm like, yep, today's the day, dude.
And I mean, I left to come over to your place at, I don't know, it was 11:30, noonish.
About noon, yeah.
And even as close to the lake as I am, it was, like 77.
So you came over. I just finished the hot dogs that you left in my fridge from last week.
Yeah.
From the hot dog episode. I'm like, I need to get some food in my stomach.
Right.
I'm like, I'm just going to throw these in the microwave. I did put mustard on them, and I didn't make any.
Right. I mean, you
cool
don't
hot dogs.
need much else, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we do have a holiday coming up,
Which one?
Memorial Day.
Ooh, I like Memorial Day. That's a good
So,
one.
today we are not going to talk about anything to deal with a cook for said holiday.
You're kind of loud.
Yeah, maybe it's just your headphones are really loud.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's-
Level check.
I have
mic
to-
check. Mic check.
It's tough to tell at times given the position of this. All right, I adjusted a little bit. I apologize if
Okay.
I'm freaking out everybody's headphones or whatnot. So yeah, we are not doing anything ahead because, to be completely honest, I have zero ideas. I'm hosting next week.
So I think you're just gonna do. Yeah, you're gonna host next week. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're probably gonna do. Just do the usual. Ribs.
And then the thing is now when we have a get together, anything we do, the thought always goes to the podcast, right?
Right.
I got to do something different, which luckily so far has not come to bite me in the tush, right? Because you're trying something new, it doesn't turn out. You got 20 people or more, whatever, and you cook something, it just doesn't turn out, and then you hope maybe. I mean, have you ever done that where you have a backup plan, like you bought the frozen burger patties or something and just had them in the freezer just in case?
Honestly, the backup plan has always been like, what's Domino's phone number?
Yeah, but I mean, you're on a holiday. Well, okay,
On a holiday,
we're
yeah.
not doing it actually on the holiday, so
You're doing
we
it on
would
the
be
day.
able to get Domino's or any other place that was open, fast food place.
pizza restaurant.
Yeah.
But if it were a holiday, yeah, you always have to have a backup. You gotta have something in the
So,
fridge.
so it's, part of me is like, yeah, they're doing some ribs. Maybe try something different with it. But then it's like I think of the podcast. Like next week, it's like, yep, Memorial Day, cook some ribs, which you
Ribs.
could have heard season one.
Season
I
one.
mean, unless I go back and listen and think of that way, and make sure I do something completely different. But undecided. But ribs are good.
Ribs are good. Ribs are always a good option.
All right. Well,
All right,
to be decided. Next week you'll find out.
To be determined. However, this week we're gonna do something a little bit different, a little bit crazy, and normally it's not something that everybody thinks of when they think of grilling, but this is a dessert episode.
Dessert. And we talked a little bit through the week, and it's like, oh, what do you want to do? We're kind of throwing some recipes back and forth, at least one day during the week, probably about midweek, and then it was like radio silent. Kind of agreed today was the day, and then it was like, but we had nothing because we didn't actually agree on anything.
It's so hard. I mean, when you have to decide during the week, like every single week, you have to decide, like, okay, what am I going to grill this week? And you're like, okay, I mean, we just did that, or no, we did that already. Nope, we did that. Nope, we did that last week. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you have to come up with something different. You have to invent or find something that's different.
Well, and you got to think. I mean, we do this weekly, we had 40 episodes in the first season, and you were kind of handicapped, for lack of better terms,
For a few weeks,
for
yeah,
for
quite a few
for
weeks.
6 months.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, from July till we ended it, which was what, Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So I mean, you were living in a hotel. So I mean, that put a lot of strain on me because it's like I didn't have you to kind of go off.
It was all on you, yeah.
But even then, so okay, we made it through, great. But now we've done those things,
Right.
and now we have to have other ideas or whatnot. So yeah, I think as it goes, we have to get more inventive and whatnot. And you mentioned today, let's do dessert.
So next week is the unofficial start of summer. It's Memorial Day next weekend. This weekend is not that weekend, so we decided we're gonna do. You sent me a bunch of recipes, and I'm like, well, let's. I tried to pick a common theme, and I found a lot of desserts that you sent me. And
Yeah.
I'm like, let's just do desserts.
Right.
And the first one we did, which is a smoked cheesecake with burnt sugar cream sauce on top of it.
Yeah. Right. And so I'm like, yeah, that seems decent. I think I might have linked that one too. Either way, doesn't matter. And then I'm sitting there, went to the store and whatnot to get everything. I'm like, we've done, the smoked cream cheese. Like, this is smoked cream cheese with a crust
In the form of a cake.
in the form of a cake or a
Yeah.
pie.
Right.
Although I did forget because there was a link that went to that sauce. So got everything we needed, or so thought, and we were missing an ingredient. But thinking then it's like, well, it is different, and smoked cream cheese was phenomenal. So why not?
Right. All right, Matt. Are you pulling up the recipe?
Yeah, yeah. I had the other one kind of queued up because
Nice.
I mean we kind of had that first, even though we had to start this one
Yeah.
sooner. So
You want to talk about the one I just said?
yeah, we're on it.
All right. So this one serves 8 to 10 people. And this one is you have to make the crust first, which involves what I'm looking at: vegetable oil.
Right, just to kind of grease your. We just bought disposable like pie tins. They call for. Hold on, bear with me. It actually says a spring form pan, which until we were done, it then dawned on me what that actually means. That one at the bottom that's removable, so you can kind of pop it out from that basic mold.
Yeah.
Not trying to go ahead or anything, but we had no issues getting that out.
Right.
It came, everything came out real nice for us. So we just used the vegetable oil. I just put a little bit in the pan, took a piece of paper towel, and just kind of wiped it around, just give a little bit of lubrication, so to say.
You bring all this stuff over, and you're like, "Do you have any? Do you have a food processor?" I'm like, I think we do. I mean, I know we have that Amish one,
Right.
where it's like hand press, like a chopper, like chop, 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 where you have to like press down and it spins.
I'm not
and it's
gonna,
like,
I'm not gonna lie to you. Part of me, when it's looking, is like, yeah, link. Let's go through what some of these things we did, and this recipe kind of popped up, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what we're doing at your house.
yeah,
Like, I remember Amish food processor. Like I have like a KitchenAid stand mixer. If you have one, it's hidden. I mean, maybe you have one
oh, we got the stand mixer.
stand mixer.
Yeah, it's in the corner.
Okay. Which we could have actually. That probably worked better for part of this.
Really?
Yeah. But no, you actually.
So I'm like, well, I have this Ninja, and
unbelievable. It's like a blender, but it has like what are there 2-3 layers of blades on it.
yeah, the whole blender is like blades, and I'm like, will this work?
The biggest thing I noticed with that was the lid. It's like you would lock it down, and then sometimes it was like a safety mechanism that wouldn't let you turn it on.
Yeah, it didn't want you to cut your fingers off for whatever
But
reason.
even with it in that latch position, like nothing in the way, there were times where it just didn't want to turn on. You kind of had to put your hand on it and kind of push down just a little bit. But I mean, it's a nice machine.
Yeah,
I'm used to the regular blender. It just has that little cup at the bottom with a couple blades
couple
on
blades, right?
This is it is more like a food processor on steroids because it has multiple layers of the blades.
Enough about the machine.
I mean,
The machine
it's
is
a
good.
nice machine.
Machine equals good.
Yes.
Good machine. All right, what else we need for our crust?
All right. It called for 12 ounces of broken graham crackers,
Yep.
ginger snap cookies, or chocolate icebox cookies.
And you chose?
We chose graham crackers, which they called for 12 ounces. The whole box of graham crackers was like 14 ounces.
Close enough.
And then, so close enough, but we did use a food scale, and we were able to get it to right around that 12 ounces just to try to be accurate. Called for 3 tablespoons of light brown sugar and 6 tablespoons of unsalted butter that was melted. Melted.
How do you malt butter?
I don't know.
Okay.
So pretty much, and given that's a decent amount of graham crackers. I mean, if I put it, you get a box. There's like 3 packs, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was maybe 4.5 crackers left from that whole box. So kind of broke them in half, put them in there, and it's like, okay, I still have a lot left. So kind of turned it out, kind of started breaking them down, added more, and which was fine.
Mm-hmm.
The butter at first I thought was kind of weird that it was going to be melted. I was thinking more of like it being folded in, but really it was just to try getting that moist, so it cohesive, sticky kind of crust.
Yeah.
So put it all in the Ninja food processor dash blender. Comes out, like I said, and maybe these I don't recall what it said these aluminum pie tins were,
Like
maybe
diameter?
10 inch.
I have no idea.
I don't know. Luckily, it came with 3, so it tells you to push it down. Go about halfway up the sides with this graham cracker crust. Kind of push it down. So I get the first one, and it's like there's still a decent amount sitting in our, in the food processor.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, you know what? We'll make another one. If we don't have enough fillings, so be it. But if we do have enough filling, because it calls to pre-bake it. I'm sorry to kind of jump ahead. So we get that crust together. It says to bake it at 400 degrees for 6 to 8 minutes.
Yep.
We ended up at the 8-minute mark. I tried splitting the difference. Thought I could use another minute. So we did both, which ended up working out well for us. But in the meantime, we had a filling to make.
Right. And filling involved 4 8-ounce packages of cream cheese, room temperature. So as soon as you got here, I saw you put them on the counter. You open them up and let them kind of come to room temperature.
Yes.
1 cup of packed light brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of finely grated lemon zest. And for that, what did you end up using?
So I didn't actually see like a zester, but I seen it was smaller than I'd say a cheese grater.
Okay.
In diameter, but a zester is going to be very fine, where this was more of like a medium. So
It's pulpy.
yeah. So I mean, it was bigger. So then I just took a chef's knife and I was trying to chop it up, trying to break it down more like a zester would.
Mm-hmm.
It still wasn't perfect, but I mean, I was just we're just feeding ourselves, so not the biggest.
All right. And 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract.
Also, 1 tablespoon of fresh lemon juice, which I did do.
Okay. 2 tablespoons of butter, melted.
Yep.
You got that? And 5 large eggs.
5 large eggs.
And so I saw you bought a half pack of eggs.
A
which
6-pack,
is
right?
Perfect for, our...
One left
what we're
over.
doing.
Now you got breakfast tomorrow.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
I don't know what you'll do with 1 egg, but
A little snack.
a little snack.
Yeah.
So we pre-cooked the crust somewhat. We broke we went through kind of breaking it up. The filling, so we used the same, just kind of cleaned out the food processor mixer thing. We added the cream cheese, which is the 4 bricks of the cream cheese, the cup of sugar, the vanilla, lemon zest, the butter. Am I missing anything else that was on that list?
No.
The lemon. It pretty much had you kind of work it together. Get which the cream cheese, which was around room temperature, but it's still kind of. I mean, cream cheese is thick. So, and then it tells you to start adding 1 egg at a time. And here's where I think a stand mixer would have done us a little better. It's slower, right? You go with a blender or a food processor.
It's fast.
It's fast, and
yeah.
there's a blade. So what I was actually fearful of was the possibility of scrambling our eggs, or starting to cook them, or because of the speed of it.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is because of how it all was. I noticed, between it was like stuff stuck on the side. So I didn't believe it was actually mixing it more than just kind of pulverizing.
Right.
as a food processor would. So I'd stop it, get a butter knife in there to kind of scrape the sides, mix it up, add the egg, kind of go about it. And in all honesty, when we're kind of done with it and it's poured into a secondary bowl, it was more to really check our consistency.
Right.
And it was actually pretty good. It turned out pretty well. I mean, a couple little areas, maybe a little thicker, but all in all, the
Yeah.
Ninja did well.
We had our mix. Yeah.
We had our mix.
Drop my phone. I'm sorry. All right. So in the meantime, you started making the crust itself into the pan. You started pushing all the graham cracker mix
Yep.
into the pan, and you went about
Cooked it.
halfway up. Baked that at 400 for 80 minutes, and you had the mix, the filling. While you were doing all that stuff, I went outside. I started the 26-inch grill. I used my slow and sear, which is pretty much just like a giant basket, like a Weber basket, and I used that for one side of the grill, put all the heat on that side, and closed the dampers, and brought the temperature down to probably about 350-ish degrees, kind of to where ballpark where we wanted it to be. Honestly, it did run a little bit hot when we put it on there, but
Well, with that though, I mean, you also, for a lot of the times in the past, we've used some different charcoals, but for the most part, and it seems like when we do get something different than the Kingsford that go to, because you could get it in the 2 packs for 14, $15.
yeah, I mean
We end up running high.
we're basic girls, and basic bees. We buy the 2 for $20s when they're on sale when possible.
Well, I mean, yeah,
I mean, sale's a sale, but
right? But then when we have like last season when did the meatloafs, same thing. You had those big logs. I forgot was that B&B itself?
B&B char logs.
The char logs, and it's like we're just running hot. Well,
Right.
today you just opened a fresh bag of what was it?
That was the B&B briquettes.
B&B briquettes.
Those things run hot.
Yeah, I mean, I think you
Super hot.
had it like closed down
And that
almost
was-
completely.
Okay, let me give you a reference here. So 3/4 of a basket, and this is all fresh coal. 3/4 of a basket, and you run your basket till it's a little bit grayed over and ashed over, and so I poured it into the slow and sear, and I have the top wide open, and I have the bottom about 3/4, and I let it sit for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes
Right.
to let it kind of like heat up the grate itself, and our temperature was like 385, maybe 400 degrees, and I'm like, we could put it in there, and I ended up having to close the top damper, close the bottom damper as well, just to bring that temperature down to like a reasonable 350, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
350, 400 degrees. But B&B runs hot.
Yeah, because I mean, we could put it. We put the 2 pies on because we actually did make enough to make 2 cheesecakes. So we get those on. We're hanging outside. It's nice out, right? Conversation, have some music going on. Probably a half hour, 45 minutes. It's like, oh, let's just go take a look at our temp, and actually it had gone up.
Yeah, it went up. Like, what's going on here?
This grill, the dampeners they're pretty much closed. I mean,
Right.
The bottom is just a crack, just barely open, and 3/4 or so closed up top, and we're running. I think at that time, what was it, like 450?
Yeah, it went up. I'm like, what's going on here? This is high temp. We're not looking for high temp.
And honestly, so we thought, all right, so we close it down some more,
Right.
and we didn't get our target temp. We were still running high.
We never hit our target.
We never hit our target temp, so it's like, okay, we have to adjust our time. Like, I'm thinking our crust is just going to be completely destroyed. This is going to cook. It says 1.5 to 2 hours. Like, the 45-minute mark, the 1 hour mark, that's probably where we're going to be done. All said and done, what did we do? An hour and a half, or was it the full 2 hours?
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half. We just kind of pushed on it, seen the jiggle kind of calm down, and
Right.
yanked it off. Looked all right. Put it off to the side. Let it cool down. Then we put it in the refrigerator.
Let it sit.
Let it sit.
And so we closed the dampers pretty near all the way. And then I'm right, or was it all the way?
I think you shut it down,
I think I
and
shut
we
it
still
down.
we had our second.
So we shut it down, and Matt's like, It was like 3:30, and he's like, "Do you want to do the second cook?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
Well, and not that it's going to be a major telling point of this podcast, but knowing the amount of time that it was going to take for the cheesecake, we had another idea. I'm like, we're going to get hungry. Like we're going to be pushing about dinner time, so I might as well just stop and while I'm at the store get something, to grill up for dinner for everyone. So I just grabbed some hamburger meat, some buns, a few sides, just whatever, nothing crazy, store bought. And it's like 3, and it's not dinner time yet.
But you had that other option.
Yeah.
You had the bread with the fruit in it.
Right, but before we get to that, we forgot the caramel sauce.
Talk about the caramel sauce.
Right? I mean, that kind of finished it off. Which was I have made caramel once, and it just was the sugar in a pan and then just kind of let it go. But following the recipe, the burnt sugar cream sauce, you put 1.5 cups of sugar, a half cup of water, and you kind of place the sugar and water in a heavy saucepan, and you're not stirring. You just want to make sure it's all the sugar is, I guess, in the liquid. But all honesty, it was really tough to tell compared to how I have made it because it still had that water content, so it was kind of boiling. And then finally, and actually, you kind of have to pay attention because it turned pretty quick,
Right.
to the point where I was rushing. Like I took it off. You're looking for a dark brown and fragrant, look and smell to it. Took it off. I go to measure. It also called for 1 cup of heavy cream and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So get it off the heat. I mean, this stuff's still going.
Yeah.
So hurry up, pour the cup, pour it in there. Kind of volcanoes up. I mean, it just, the reaction it had. Kind of mixed it up and had the vanilla. Kind of mixed it and then just let it sit.
And you let it sit until
We pretty much just left
it.
it out until we were ready to try it.
Right.
And it was still kind of warm at that point too, and that was good hour. I mean,
yeah.
I delayed when we cooked it, by a good hour or so. We didn't just do this, have that sit, and we did the other cook
Right.
in the meantime.
All right. So before we get into the cream cheese cake,
The cheesecake.
the cheesecake. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
You ended up making a kind of like an appetizer.
Right, and we were kind of mentioning and fumbling around. So we have this time. It's got to cool down. We're gonna have dinner too. So the recipe that kind of piqued my interest was a dessert grilled cheese sandwich, and I'm just like, that seems interesting. Really easy. I mean, it pretty much calls for a 1/4 cup of mascarpone cheese.
What is mascarpone cheese?
It's kind of like a cream cheese.
Where does it hail from?
I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to say Italy simply because I was looking in the grocery store and I buy the cream cheese and everything, and I'm not seeing it. And I said, well, let's go. They got a little like cooler, and it's all like Italian meats and cheeses, and that's where I found it.
It makes you wonder, like how do people keep things like that fresh when people like us who never buy this? You know what I mean? Like who's in the market to buy this stuff, and how do they keep selling this?
Just because we haven't bought it doesn't mean others aren't.
There's somebody out there that's buying mascarpone cheese.
Yeah, I mean, there was only 2 on the shelf. I got one. I don't recall the size of it. But then it also called for like a half cup of mixed berries, which I found it was like a little trio pack. It had I think it was blackberries, raspberries, and blueberries. And then because now we're getting at a time where I seen strawberries, so I picked up a little container of those. And now looking at this recipe, it also called for 1 tablespoon of honey.
And I think you said that after we were like done chewing on it. You're like, oh
Yeah.
whoops.
So I'm going to fast forward without really fast forwarding. We're kind of done with the cook with everything, and I'm like, I remember there being honey in something. Like one of the recipes called for honey. I didn't use honey. Like completely completely blanked out on it.
Yeah.
That was for this so it's kind of funny. So I bought a loaf of French bread. Now we'll cut it up, spread the mascarpone cheese, put the fruits on it. I cut them up so they're nice pieces. Then I butter each side of the bread, and then we had the grill still going. The B&B was still rare and hot. We still had to tame that bad boy down.
Well, no, we shut it down, and then like 10 minutes later, you're like, you want to cook it or open it back up for this, and you're like, yeah, go ahead. I open it back up full throttle, both top and bottom.
Oh yeah, then we're at over 6. Yeah, it pegged the
it pegged the meter. I'm like
yeah,
over
we're
600.
600.
I'm like, okay, this thing likes to run hot.
So so I put a little cast iron pan you have. It was like a Weber cast iron. It probably would fit in the center, the 22, that certain grate with the removable center.
It is actually, yes, it is made for the Weber, what do they call it? The Gourmet Barbecue System,
Okay.
GBS. So it's made to fit in the center of the 22-inch grill.
Now, I did not use it like that.
You just put it on top
Just
of
put
the
it on.
26. Yeah.
So I put them on. There again, I close everything up most of the way. I'm just trying to toast bread and warm up some fruit, right? So go, we're gonna have it in the pan, turn it over, take it off. It's done. It's toasted, and try it. It's like, man, it's just missing. It's just missing something.
Right.
It's like it was good, but it's like there was no sweetness to it. It's like I had a tough time calling it a dessert, but at this point we still had plenty of ingredients to go against, like a sugar, maybe like sugar or something. So go back, I cut up a bunch more of the bread, put them together, except this time I sprinkled some sugar on it. Now in hindsight, this would have been where the recipe called for of putting some of that honey on.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't go crazy with the sugar on it. Toasted them up. We tried those, and you dropped the original one. I made 4, and there was 4 of us. You took one bite and you dropped it on the ground.
I barely took a bite out of it. So you gave me the one, or you left the one that was like busted up and looked like.
Hey man, that's
like
what
trash.
happens when you're late to the party, man.
Well, I was busy building the new grill.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll try this. And I
Wait.
picked it up, and it fell apart. Like all the ingredients fell onto the
But
ground.
now you're gonna have curious people. I mean, what is this new grill?
So the new grill, nothing fancy. It's another Weber. It is a Master Touch 22-inch blue. I forget the name of the color. Blue. It's like a deep ocean blue or something like
It's
that.
blue.
It's
you
blue.
know,
It's blue.
it's some shade of blue, kind of darkish.
So their website, brand new option is you can modify or customize the colors that go with it. So you can get like a light or a dark color accessory kit, this, that, and the other. I went with the dark kit, so it's got the black wheels, it's got the black ash catcher, black handles.
Yeah. The only thing for me, because we're outside, I mean, this thing's, 15 feet away from me, is you have the black ash catcher, but then you still have, like, that stainless piece above that, I think if they would made that black also, that would look cool. Even if with the legs being the chromed look.
I do have some black spray paint I can modify.
There we go. I mean, and don't take anything apart. Don't tape. Just go at it, man.
Just spray it.
Just go at it.
Yeah. So I'm building this grill, right? I put the grill together, and he comes out with this, and the first one falls apart. Luckily, you made another batch of it. And
Right. At that point, I had the sugar.
Second batch I think it was really good. Dessert, maybe not, but it was a really good appetizer.
Right, and that's what I was saying too. Was like, I don't know if I'd call this a dessert. It's good. There again, with the honey would have made a difference, but it wasn't really. I wouldn't say dessert. I would say it is a healthy option, a nice twist on a grilled cheese sandwich.
I'd say it was a light appetizer.
A light appetizer, but not what us in the U.S. would think of as a dessert, because it wasn't full of sugar and all that. It was more savory, I guess, right, from the mascarpone. I mean, we dealt with the natural sugars from the fruit itself, but it was, it didn't have that sweetness to it.
Right.
It was good, though. I mean, I'm glad we did it.
Yeah. Dessert.
Dessert.
Dessert is easily done, just as easily done, I should say, on the grill as it is in the oven.
Yeah, and it turned out good.
The one thing I noticed with the, hold on, we got some kids here.
It's all right. They're just they're enjoying the nice
They're
weather too.
Enjoying, here we are.
Playing in the
Summertime.
sprinkler, jumping on the trampoline, running out. That's all right. We'll just keep it going
Keep it
because we knew this going into this week that we're recording outside. We're happy it's getting to be that summertime, and if there's to be a little bit of noise, so be it.
So be it.
We'd hide in the basement for that quiet.
It's true. It's true.
So
Take the noise, love it, or leave it.
right.
Anyways, so
Cheesecake, we eat those. Cheesecake is now in the refrigerator.
cheesecake in the refrigerator. You're like, dude, let's do burgers because you bought 3 pounds of beef.
Yeah.
And you say French onion soup mix.
Yes.
Mixed in with the burger meat itself, the 80-20. And I did that.
It's 90-10. I got the good stuff for us.
Fancy. Dang,
Got the
dude.
good stuff.
Okay, the 90-10. And so I did all that and I mixed it all together.
I think I was making the caramel sauce because we're both doing something inside.
Yeah. You're doing
Whatever.
that. I was doing this. Use the Weber burger press, which one side is half-pound burgers, the other side is quarter-pound burgers, I think, or I don't know.
Whatever.
Either way, big burger, little burger. I did a little burgers, and ended up using the French onion soup mix and made all the burgers. I think I made a butt ton of burgers. Put them on the brand new grill. Finally finished that grill. Put the grill together.
Hindsight, we did have it going early to kind of season and burn off any manufacturing oils.
I let it sit there for
I
about
don't
20 minutes.
I don't
half
want
hour.
to grow a third arm.
You'll
I
be
mean,
fine.
unless there's something wrong with one of mine, and I can get like if it's like a replacement, I'm all right with it. If it's just this random thing that kind of grows that shouldn't be, then
I mean, that'd be cool.
Not so much.
Wouldn't that be nice though? A third arm, fourth arm.
I guess.
Think of the possibilities.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think some manufacturing oils would make me grow an arm.
No, you just lose some.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cancer or something like that.
Something not good. Anyways, brand new grill. Get the grill preheated. She's sitting at around 350. This is not a burger episode, so I'm just gonna quickly gloss over. Brand new grill. Broke it in with the scattered coals across it. More B&B grill or coals, which I think are really awesome. We just have to manage our expectations as far as temperature because these things get very hot.
Yeah,
And they stay hot.
What you're used to, a full chimney, and then you're trying to keep that temp down, and you can't because it burns much hotter than the Kingsford. So it's there is, I guess that's the one thing to get out of this is if you're trying something new and you're going to switch brands of charcoal, like anything, you kind of learn your tools. Whether it be your grill, right, your hot spots, gas grill, right. Or your charcoal. That's probably one of the most important tools we use. And you switch up that variable. I mean, that's a big variable to switch up. And it's luckily it hasn't affected any of the food we have cooked. But that's 2 times now we've tried something new with this B&B, and this thing's just rare and hot.
I still feel good.
No, it turned out. Like I said, we're worried about that cheesecake.
Yeah.
That's so quick. You've never the French onion soup mix in the burger. That was something new to you.
I feel like I've done it years and years ago, but it's been a while. So
I mean, I like it because it seems to help moisten it up.
and it adds flavor.
It adds a little flavor to the meat. And then I don't season with the ground meat. Right, I kind of form the patties and then put the seasoning on because I've probably done that in the past. And then like if I'm doing it on top of a pre-made patty, I can see how much seasoning I'm putting into it. If I have 3 pounds of meat and I just start dumping in, I don't know how much I'm actually putting in there.
Yeah, you're just dumping at that.
Then
point.
I'm just dumping. So I tend to wait to form the patties.
Right.
But
So-
burgers turned out good.
Burgers were amazing. Now we're full. We're happy. We're like, oh yeah,
Time for cheesecake.
Nice. So it was kind of a letdown. I'm gonna say that.
Yeah, no,
you're far
no.
enough away from me. So you can't hit me. But
No,
it's kind of a letdown.
Yeah, I was a little more amazed how quick he went to that.
Oh,
Like,
it was really
and
good.
then we had the cheesecake. It was a letdown. Like I thought a little more build up to it. Yeah. So I mean, sauce. I did put the sauce on my piece. One thing, even with those aluminum pans, a little bit of oil,
Yeah.
I did find that it did break away very nicely. Did not fall apart on us
Complete
without
letdown.
that spring pan or whatever they call it. So that held up well. Crust held up well. I got my piece. I drizzled the sauce on it because why wouldn't I?
Right.
I tasted the sauce. I enjoyed the sauce.
Letdown. Yeah. Yeah. So overall, I mean, this thing looked good. 10 out of 10. It looked really nice. It smelled good. Cut into it. Everything's good. You bite into it, and it's called for chunks of apple wood, right?
Yeah.
And
He might have said something else. So we used apple. That's what
and
we had.
that's almost honestly all I could taste was the smoke out of this thing.
And I'm sitting there because before it's like, the wood. It's like, well, think of the cream cheese, right? I guess the issue is we've taken this cream cheese and we've thinned it out with everything we added to it. So that did change it. It did take on that smoke flavor. So it's like that first bite, it kind of got the smoke, but it's almost like a bitterness from it.
Right.
And then the caramel itself is kind of bitter in its own, and add that on top.
So I don't want to contribute all the flavor negativity towards the smoke,
No,
but
I think. Well, hold on, because I grilling it because I would like to cook this recipe again, except do it just fully inside in the oven, because the cream cheese the filling itself was good. It held together nicely. The graham cracker crust was a nice crust, held together nicely.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I think the variable on it was doing it, smoking it.
smoking it, grilling it, right?
So I don't want to necessarily condemn the recipe, more of
Or the
technique.
method per se. I mean, maybe next time forego all the smoke altogether.
Well, right. But that was the intriguing part of it, because it's like we've done cream cheese. It's amazing.
Right.
I mean, the only other variable we had here was you just had small wood chips, of which we soaked. Did we put too much on? But I mean, unless it was mesquite, hickory, a stronger. A fruit wood, generally they're milder as far as their smoke profile and what they really give to your food. So it's tough for me to sit there and think that, hey, we just over smoked it.
Right.
In hindsight, I would put a lot less on. I'm kind of talking on both sides of my mouth right here.
Easily, yeah.
A little bit less, yeah, because just to get that initial kiss,
Right.
the little kiss of smoke
Just
flavor
a
instead
little
of
hint of smoke versus poof.
Well, maybe just a few pieces of it and allow it to just burn,
Right.
right? Because we soaked it so it smoldered a little longer than the amount we had. I don't know. I think probably a decent recipe, but yeah, the bitterness that we, at least perceived bitterness. I did not care for it.
Right. So a couple of things I would change, like you said, forego the smoke altogether, and maybe that sauce, that drizzle. You said last time in your cooking class you didn't
Yeah.
use water.
Right. When we did caramel, it was you put the sugar in a pot or in a pan, turned it on, and then just waited, and then it kind of melted, turned that brown, and then took it off. Do whatever else you need to. Which I'm not going to lie to you, I don't remember what else we did to it. It was really good. I know we added salt to it, so kind of get that sea salted caramel.
Sure.
But it still kind of had that bitterness that you get. Caramel has a little bitterness to it, but I mean, it turned out beautiful for what we used it for. But it was easy to tell what stage it was in. We're adding the water; it was just bubbling a lot,
Yeah.
Boiling to the point where it was tough to actually see a color, because it's all you had was like water, the boiling of it.
Right.
I thought the sauce turned out all right. Combination with the smoke, no. I think if we'd have done like something fresh, right? Just imagine think of all the fresh fruit we used on for the grilled cheese, the fruit grilled cheese, and did something with that, made a sauce or something with that freshness. I think that would have counteracted that smokiness
Right.
and given us, a little sweetness, a little tartness, and I think that might have turned out a lot better.
Yeah, I think. Well, this is going to be one of many episodes. Maybe not many, but one of a few episodes we're going to do as far as fruit or
Oh, we're getting in
dessert,
that season, yeah.
dessert on the grill. I mean,
Right.
last year we talked about vegetables on the grill. This year, I think we're going to talk more about vegetables on the grill. We're going to talk about fruit on the grill, desserts
Oh,
on
yeah.
the grill. But yeah, this is one of many episodes that I'd like to discover as far as dessert and stuff on the grill.
Oh, right, because even, I know it was kind of new to us, like taking pineapple, putting it on there, getting that. I actually seen something different. I'm sidetracking here, I know it. It was for corn.
Yeah.
And it said the way to cook corn, I've always left it in the stalk,
Okay.
in the husk, sorry.
Me
And
too.
I'd soak it, right, so that way it doesn't flare up.
Yep.
And then I was reading an article, Steve Reichlin, hopefully I'm not ruining his name. He had shows on PBS, cookbooks, all that. That's actually where we found the cheesecake recipe from. He says no to take it out of the husk or take the husk, pull it back, use it as a handle, but actually have the corn itself on, because getting that char on it's what's releasing the sugars and everything in the corn itself.
Oh, wow.
I've always left it on.
Yeah, same
I'm like,
here.
oh, we're just gonna burn it, but going, like I said, kind of sidetrack. Going back to like the fruit, seeing like pineapple or something. I see stuff with watermelon, which we haven't tried, and it's like you're putting something that's normally refreshing. You eat it room temperature or cold, and now we're gonna throw it on the grill.
Yeah.
And we're gonna caramelize it and eat it.
Right.
It's not what we normally think of for that. Like, it's summertime, it's hot. I want nice, like I said, worst case room temperature pineapple and just all the juiciness to be refreshing. Not like, how can I make this warm?
Right.
Right. It's already hot. Like, okay, now here's some warm pineapple for you.
Yeah.
So it was something I never really thought about. That it is intriguing, and as we go on, we're gonna have to do a lot more different things. I think that's part of the most fun about this is as much as we can scramble. All right, what are we gonna do? It's broadening those, expanding those horizons, which is amazing because it's easy to get in that rut of cooking the same 10 things.
Burgers, West Virginia dogs,
Yeah,
this, that, and the other.
ribs.
Ribs.
But even though it's like, what we do Memorial Day, just do ribs, man. We
You
can't
gonna
go.
do ribs next week?
I don't know.
You're gonna do ribs.
I don't want to though, because we need something for next week's episode.
St. Louis.
So this is gonna be the funny thing. So next week's like, is it gonna be? Yeah, I did ribs, or
Ribs version 2.
ribs version. But I'll have to do something different,
Right.
right? So that's
You put fruit on the ribs.
put fruit. Yeah, there we go. Fruit ribs.
Fruity ribs.
Or we just get the corn. You've seen those where they call them corn ribs.
I've not.
Yeah, it's like you take a knife, kind of cut it off, so they come in strips. So you're going a little deeper, so it's not kernels.
Sure.
And then they smoke it or grill it, and then they'll treat it like a rib. They'll put like a seasoning on it, maybe even a sauce. I've seen some videos on it. I haven't tried it yet, obviously, because we probably would have talked about it here.
Next week's episode, we're
There it is.
talking about
We're not real ribs.
corn ribs.
We're corn ribs, watermelon husk.
Random foods that you see on the internet.
Oh man.
All
Well,
right.
with that being said, thanks for joining in.
Hold on. With that being said, let's. I think we're done with our episode here.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if
okay.
you got ideas or whatnot, reach out to us via social media. You can message us. You can go onto our website, shadetreechefs.com, and you can actually contact us right through there. We don't know who you are because it doesn't give us an email address. So if you want to be anonymous, and that's fine with it. But always looking for ideas. What do you want to see us do? What do you want to hear us talk about?
Did we mess something up?
Did we mess something up? Right. That's why we're Shade Tree Chefs, We're not Michelin star chefs here. So we're going to,
We're outside.
You guys are going about this all wrong. Yeah, we didn't know better,
We're in the backyard. You're in the backyard. We're in your backyard. I don't know.
Right.
Who knows?
Your car?
We're in your.
You might be driving to work right now in a traffic jam
I'm
while
just saying,
listening
like,
to us.
we're going to be cooking in our backyard. We're going to be cooking
in your backyard.
in your backyard.
Oh, mine, or are you talking about theirs?
Theirs.
Oh, I'm willing to do it.
Bobby, Jimmy, Timmy.
Yeah.
Whoever's listening.
Let's
do
do it.
All right.
All right. With that being said, he is Jamie.
And I'm Matt.
And I am Matt.
And we are,
And he was
and they are
Shade Tree Chefs.